What is up, guys? The LA Gamer here, and today I am bringing you guys a new series on my channel. This one is going to be another fantasy draft on NBA 2K16. Now I know I've already done one in the past with the Golden State Warriors, but that was a My League, and the thing is I tried it and I just didn't feel connected with the My League, so I wanted to go back to a MyGM series with something I did back in 2K15, and it just helps me feel more connected with the team and the series itself. So I actually did just do a draft. For some reason the audio didn't record. I'm a little bit slightly upset about it because now we have to redo it, and hopefully maybe I'll get a different pick, maybe we'll get a new opportunity, so we'll see what our team's going to look like this time around. So we're going to load up the fantasy draft. Of course, we're going to go with Serpentine. Let me discuss this real quick. The difference between injuries and roster injuries, this was a big confusion last year especially, and I want to kind of settle this away so that there's not any confusion about it this year, so there's no real arguments about it. Injuries, since they are on, there are players that are going to get injured. For example, if somebody is healthy, they can still get injured. It's still possible. The only difference with the roster injuries is somebody who's injured in real life. For example, Kyrie Irving, which was injured a little while ago. In this roster, although Kyrie Irving is injured, since I turned roster injuries off, he's going to come in healthy. Does that make sense? Hopefully you guys understand. If you have any questions about the difference, please comment down below. Hopefully don't assume that you know the difference if you don't, because usually it adds a lot of frustration and it makes room for a lot of arguments, and I don't want any of that, especially not in the comment section. So let's move on to the actual draft itself, the reason you guys are probably even watching the video. So we'll move on. We're going to actually play as the Chicago Bulls. Now I know I keep hopping teams around. I basically just go with teams that I think have nice jerseys that I think I would have fun with, especially just playing with their jerseys and their court and their kind of atmosphere, and I think Chicago's a cool atmosphere to play around with. Okay guys, I will be honest, I did redo the draft a couple of times because it seems like we were just never able to get a good pick. I tried it 2 other times and we were the 29th and the 30th pick respectively. Unbelievable how bad of luck we had on the draft. So we're actually going to come back in here, and I think this pick, where are we at? Number 11. So here we go. We have a chance to get a better player now than those other 2 opportunities we were getting. So real quick as we hop in, for those of you who did not watch my 2K14 fantasy draft series, I did actually draft John Wall in the first round, so just because of that, I can't get him in this year's draft. Just for the pure purpose of originality, I don't want to be able to, or I don't want to recreate what I've already done. I want to be able to try some new stuff. So, okay, so the decision here, if we're looking at point guard, is going to be between Kyrie Irving and Damian Lillard, the 2 youngest guys. And I know Chris Paul is a dominant player, but since he's 7 years older than Irving, 6 years older than Lillard, I think he just kind of comes out of the conversation, although he is, in my opinion, one of the top 3 point guards in the league. Just because of the fact of his age, I just can't consider him over Irving and Lillard. So we're looking back over here, we're looking at Irving and Lillard. Now I've already compared these 2 guys stat-wise, but I'm going to look through their stats real quick so you guys can both see the difference between the 2. I already know right now what decision I'm going to make and what player I'm going to draft. Right now Irving's got the slight advantage because of his age, but I'm going to show you guys the stats real quick and show you why I'm going to make the decision I'm going to make. So Kyrie Irving, look closely at his shooting stats. 87 mid-range, 89 3. Unbelievable shooter, pretty close up there. Honestly, with Stephen Curry, he's only about 5 points lower in mid-range and 3 than Stephen Curry, so he's a dominant shooter, especially for a 23-year-old. His free throws in 86, 95 standing layup, 94 driving layup, a dominant guy, especially in terms of layups. Now, he can't really dunk much, a 30 driving dunk. He's not really the type of guy to explode to the rim, but 98 ball control. Now, if we're talking in general terms, the NBA, it's well known that in terms of the best ball handlers, it's usually a competition between Kyrie and Stephen Curry. So Kyrie definitely is one of the best ball handlers in the NBA, if not the best ball handler in the NBA. So that would be a great advantage to have there, as well as he's not going to be stripped very often just because he has got great handles. So we're going to continue to move on. He's got a lot of work in terms of defensive ability. We're going to need to work on his defensive skills a lot. But offensively, he's just an offensive superstar. And look at his speed, 87 speed, 95 acceleration. So as we look through Lillard and look at his stats, I'll have you guys look closely at those. What I want to discuss is both Lillard and Irving are what are known as closers in the NBA. So what that means is basically they're the type of player that you want to have the ball in their hands for the last shot. They've proven time and time again, even though they're young, that they know how to make the big shot, they know how to be clutch, and they've done it consistently. So I would love to have both these guys on our team, especially because they're the type of guys I can trust with a couple of seconds left on the clock to take the big shot when they need to. And I think the biggest difference here is the only advantage I see Lillard having over Irving is with passing accuracy and passing IQ, and maybe even passing vision, but I don't see that as an important enough set of skills to choose him directly over Irving, especially because Irving is a year younger. The only other reason I would pick Irving or I'd pick Lillard over Irving is because Irving's got a little bit of injury concerns, especially in his shoulders and I think he's got head injuries too, so he's got his shoulder primarily. His shoulders are primarily the biggest issue in terms of injury for Kyrie. But I think just the fact that he is he's like a trigger type player. Occasionally, you never know, Kyrie can drop 60 points on you, and you just never know when to expect it. I think he's the type of player on my team. He's the type of player you can win championships around. So I think Irving is the guy we get here with the first pick. So let's continue to move on to our next selection. We're going to move on here and see if we can get another nice decision or another nice pick here in the second round. So I'm typically here in the second round. I like to get a nice big man to kind of wrap around defensively. So usually, I'm going to be honest. The way I usually play 2K is I like to have one dominant scorer, especially at the guard position. I think we already settled that down with Kyrie, and now since we've already figured that out, what I want is a dominant big man that I can just not really even try to play with offensively, but just a guy I can trust to get big blocks and big defensive plays when I need to, down on the defensive end. So if we look defensively, we look at big men. It's coming down to a center, and if we're looking at two players right now. Personally, DeAndre Jordan, Hassan Whiteside. Hassan Whiteside's got a 99 block and a 98 shot contest. DJ, however, also has a high block, I believe, at about an 88, but he's a better rebounder, or close, or they're similar rebounding, but DeAndre Jordan's got way better IQs in terms of his ability to play defense, and he's a way better physical specimen, and his ability to stay on the court is better because he's got like a low 90 stamina. I believe it's at a 92. So DeAndre Jordan is going to be the pick here over Hassan Whiteside due to the fact that he's a better, just a better guy physically. Technically, he's got a better stamina, better vertical, and it's a guy who I trust more on the court to last longer on the court. And it kind of keeps me from having to draft better backups, which in turn is actually going to make my team a lot better. So because of that, DeAndre Jordan's going to be the pick here over Hassan Whiteside, although Whiteside is definitely a guy you have to consider because he's a dominant force on the defensive end. And of course, this right here, Hassan Whiteside's going to be taken. Now, if Hassan Whiteside didn't get taken, I would always pick him as a power forward and just move him to power forward, even though he's unbelievably tall. Because could you imagine having a front court with DJ and Hassan Whiteside, the amount of blocks you would get? Now, I already kind of have my draft set up, and just something personally, the way I like to do drafts is usually I like to draft based off my first instinct. Usually when I second guess my picks and I think too far into each one, that's usually when I start making bad decisions. So I don't want to do that. I want to be able to pick off my first kind of vibe and whatever I think would be best at that time. So typically now that I got a guard and I got a center, what I want is a nice wing player. And right now I have two people I'm kind of deciding between, and that's going to be Nicholas Batum and Rudy Gay. Now both these guys are good players. I'm not going to deny another good set of players down there. We got Gallinari, Jay Crowder, Tobias Harris, Chandler Parsons, not Chandler Jones, Chandler Parsons. And all these guys are extremely good. It's just that I think Rudy Gay and Nicholas Batum are more box office. I think Rudy Gay especially is a box office player. A great vertical, great driving dunk. Nicholas Batum, however, is probably a better shooter if we look at each one. Yeah, Batum is a much better shooter. We'll see what he can do physically before we make that decision, though. He can't quite dunk like Rudy Gay can, but he still can dunk with a certain level of ferocity, as he's got 75 driving dunk, which is definitely nothing to complain about. So we're going to continue to move down. His defensive skills are actually not that bad, low 80s in terms of his defensive IQs. 63 steal might need a little bit of work, but at 81 shot contest, a 70 speed to 68 acceleration are the biggest issues. 82 vertical, but 95 stamina. And so if we're looking over at Rudy Gay, he's not bad at all. He really is. An 88 driving dunk. So he's going to be a box office player in terms of driving in the paint and throwing on big slams. But defensively, he can't do what Batum can do. He's about equal in terms of athleticism, and Batum's a little bit younger. I think Batum is the way to go with this one, especially because he's a better shooter as well. And I like to be shooting a lot, especially with guys like Irving, who can shoot really well, and Batum would be a nice compliment to him. Of course, DJ can't shoot at all, but I think this would be a nice little compliment to Irving's game, especially, is having a nice shooter like Batum in the back or at the wing. So Batum will be the pick there over Rudy Gay. So continue to move on here. We'll see what we can get. So right here, Derrick Rose still on the board. We got Drew Holiday. I think right here though we go with the small guard or the shooting guard. I always say small guard. For some reason I always say small guard. I don't understand why I say that. Shooting guard, the shooting guard position, I think our biggest decision would be between Aaron Gordon and Wesley Matthews. The only difference though is Eric Gordon's jump shot is horrible, so I would never get him. Got Iman Shumpert down here. We can probably get in a couple of rounds. Wesley Matthews, however, is a dominant shooting guard, so I would definitely like to get him. He's a great player. I would not mind getting him whatsoever. So we'll consider him. We got power forward. There's nothing really great here, so I don't really see who I would get right now. Nikola Mirotic is a nice guy. I might be able to get him next round. I think right now, though, if we're looking at shooting guard, I think we go with Wesley Matthews at this pick, so he'll be our guy. Pretty dominant shooter. I mean, look at this, 81-3, 77 mid-range. It's not bad. And if you remember back on the Trailblazers, he's actually in three-point competition and fared pretty well. So I think Wesley Matthews is the decision for us right there. So sadly, Mirotic is going to be taken right there, so he won't be able to be our power forward. So we'll actually look at power forward now. And I think if we're going to look around, our number one guy will be Markieff Morris. We also have Cody Zeller, though, 7 feet tall. 7 foot tall power forward is actually unbelievable. It's just crazy to think about. Let's see what he can do. He's got a good layup, a good dunk. Let's see. Rebounding could have a little bit of work. Not much of an offensive player. 90 vertical and 82 speed, so he's an athletic force to say the least. Markieff Morris, however, is a better shooter, a better all-around player than Cody Zeller. A tad bit shorter, much better in the post. And he's not a scrub at all physically as well. So Zeller's just younger, better athletically than Markieff Morris is. Oh man, this is a tough decision. I think where the decision comes in, Markieff Morris is getting $8 million a year, 4 years, $32 million. Cody Zeller is getting 1 year for only $4 million. So I think Zeller is the guy we get here. Typically, I don't like to let contracts weigh in on my decision in a fantasy draft, but realistically, the less amount of cap room we have, or the more cap space we have to get new players, we can get better free agents, and we have more space to try out new trades. So Cody Zeller would be our power forward over Markieff Morris, and let's continue to move on here. So right here, I'll probably get my 6th man at the shooting guard position. So we're gonna look around here, and hopefully, sadly, no, Iman Shumpert will not still be there. That's too bad. Iman Shumpert is a guy who I would really like to get. And let's see, power forward, Markieff Morris would have still been there. That's too bad. Shumpert would have been a nice guy to get on the team. So either way, let's look here. I think I already got this guy. I did already get this guy in my fantasy draft for the Warriors, but he's so dominant that I want to get him again, and that's going to be J.R. Smith. Like I said, I don't like to second guess decisions, so I am moving through this draft, I will admit, at an extremely fast pace, but I think I already have an idea of everything I want to get. So we're going to get J.R. Smith here as our 6th man. And I think that should be a dominant guy, especially because he's kind of a heat wave. I don't even know how you would describe him as a shooter, but he's got hot streaks and he's got cold streaks. A very streaky shooter, to say the least. One of the streakiest shooters in the league, I would say. But when he's on his hot streak, he's very, very difficult to start or difficult to stop. And I think if we can get him in one of those hot streaks, especially at an important time like the finals, him and Irving are those type of players where they're so streaky. If both of them hit their hot streak at the same time, it's going to be blowout central. That's just how it is, because we're going to be able to score on every single offensive drive. So to move on here, let's try to get a nice backup big man, honestly. I think that would be nice to get. We got Ozik, who's a guy who I really like on the defensive end. He's a great rebounder as well. He's 7 feet tall. I think that would be a nice player to get. Now, if we look at small forward, we got Jeff Green. Jeff Green's a guy who I actually like a lot. Pretty nice athleticism, pretty nice shooting. So I'd say Jeff Green right now is probably my favorite decision right here. And you know what, yeah, let's get Jeff Green. And then after this, we'll probably get Ozik in the next round if he is still there. So we're going to continue to move on here. Let's see what we can do. Ozik is still there, the number one actual choice in the whole draft. He's probably my favorite center on the board right here if I can see. And any of the close centers to be drafted, Ozik's probably my favorite because he's a great rebounder. He's 7 feet tall. So Ozik will be the guy we get right now. I'm going to continue to move on. And another pick here. Point guard, I think, would probably be George Hill because he's got the A+ shot. Jose Calderon can shoot extremely well too, though. He's just older. That's the only problem I have with Jose Calderon. He's older, but he can shoot like nobody's business. And I would not mind getting him just for shooting. The only problem is, like I said, a little bit of age concerns there. He's a little bit older, and I don't know. I don't want that to weigh in on my decision, especially with a nice player like him. 33. He could probably be good for a couple more years. I say we get Jose Calderon. Why not? We'll probably draft a point guard in next year's rookie draft anyways. Jose Calderon, welcome to the team. I like you more than... I honestly don't like George Hill. I don't like playing with him. I've tried him a few times when I play with the Pacers, and something about him just doesn't trigger well with my play style. I don't know what it is. There's nothing against him personally, really, but It's just something about his playstyle doesn't fit well with mine. So we got a nice offensive lineup here. We got Irving, Jordan, Batum, Matthews, and Green. Or no, not Green. Who's our power forward again? It's Cody Zeller. So we don't have a very good power forward. That's our biggest issue. But he's going to be nice defensively, especially because he can jump so high and he's so tall already. At 7 feet tall. And then off the bench, we have so far J.R. Smith, Jose Calderon, Jeff Green, and Omer Ozick. That's a pretty dominant bench as well. That's just unbelievable when you think about it. The scoring that's going to come from this bench with Calderon, J.R. Smith, and Jeff Green. That's going to be money central. And so, last backup we need to get is a power forward. So let's see. I like Trevor Booker. He's nice and young. Let's just get Booker. I mean, at this point we're drafting third stringers. These guys are going to get barely any playing time. So I think right here we get Tony Allen, and that's only because A+ perimeter defense. And I think if we ever go up against a top-notch shooting guard in the league, maybe like a James Harden, or a top-notch even point guard or small forward, I think Tony Allen's the type of guy that I want to put on that type of player. Even though he's going to be a third stringer, he's a very, very talented defensive player. I've actually read articles. He's considered one of the top defensive players of all time. And you can't argue against that, especially not in the 11th round. So Tony Allen's going to be our pick there. We continue to move on here into the 12th round. See what we can do. We have, oh man, just a couple more picks. We're going to get another big man here. Chris Kaman I like a little bit. We're going to hopefully get a nice guy. Not Andrew Bynum. That would be horrible. We'll move on. Jerome Jordan. Let's look at guys who play nice defense. One of the best defensive players is this Ronnie Turioff. I remember him. Brendan Haywood. Simbu Lar, the guy who's 7'5". Let's get him. 7'5". Simbu Lar, welcome to the team. And then with our last pick, we'll get another wing player. So let's see. What am I getting? A wing guy who can play power forward as well. Tayshaun Prince is well known for primarily when he played with the Pistons, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, he was a great defensive player back in the day. I don't know how he is now. But we got this Josh West, this guy who's a pretty nice defender. They got Alonzo Gee. What am I getting Alonzo Gee? Good three-point shooter. Remember, these are third stringers, so these guys are going to rarely play, so it wouldn't hurt just to get kind of utility guys. And actually, let's just get a great three-point shooter in. And if I remember correctly, Joe Ingles is an absolute beast when it comes to shooting. Let's look at his stats. 80 mid-range, 87-3. Yep, that's right. I've played with this guy before, and he dropped like 30 points with like 10 minutes. So Joe Ingles is going to be our third string small forward. Maybe occasionally he can come in, get a couple nice shots up there, and maybe even work his way into the bench lineup a little bit. But that's the end of the draft. I'll show you guys how I'm going to distribute the minutes right here as we move on into the actual MyGM itself. I'm going to be auto-generating the rookie draft class, just because of the fact that I like to be surprised by the rookie draft class that comes in. But I guess before we can do any of that, I almost forgot that we actually have to have this quick little interaction with our owner. So let's see. We need to make it to the playoffs. I think we're going to be able to accomplish that, so I will say we will accomplish that. Sell out 32 home games this year. That's actually kind of difficult. That's like 75% of our actual home games. I'll say maybe accomplish that. I have a little bit of doubt. I will be honest. That's pretty difficult to do. So if you promise a player something, you better keep it. We'll actually agree to that. I'm a man of my word. I don't intend on actually lying to any of these players. So we'll agree to that one, and then we'll keep average team morale above 60. I don't know where the average team morale is, and I don't know what it represents. So we'll just do might accomplish because I don't know how to keep that high. And team chemistry, I don't think we'll have it fall below 53% because I don't intend on doing any trades very early on, which should keep the team chemistry pretty high. So we'll accomplish that. And then since it's only our first year, we can't actually edit the allocation of our funds. So because of that, we won't actually have anything to do there. So I don't think we have any questions. I think we're ready to get started. I'll show you guys our minute allocation to our different players real quick and show you how we're going to set up the rotation. And don't talk to me, dude. I don't want to talk to you, Fred. So we're going to move on. And let's see. I'll generate rookies, like I said. And coach game plan for our team. We have Irving at the 1, Matthews at the 2, Batum at the 3, Zeller at the 4, and Jordan at the 5. In my personal opinion, that's a pretty solid lineup. I think our bench, though, we only have 4 guys on the bench actually getting playing time. That's a little bit ridiculous. J.R. Smith honestly needs to get minutes. I don't mind having Allen in there, but can Jeff Green, he can't play the power forward position. Allen can play small forward, and J.R. Smith can play shooting guard. That would be a small ball lineup, but this would be a dominant lineup when you think about it. So let's lower these minutes a little bit. Let's get J.R. Smith to get some good minutes. He's a dominant player, dominant shooter. And so I think our team looks really nice. I think it's very nicely well, oh my goodness. I think it's very well distributed in terms of overalls. We got 3 80+ overalls. Our whole bench besides JR is 75+ overall, and JR plays like a mid to high 80s overall with his ability to shoot the 3. So I think we got a great draft here. I know I drafted pretty quick, but I just wanted to kind of act on my first instinct and just kind of move through it pretty quickly. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button below. Make sure to comment your opinion of this series and comment on some things that you think I could have done better in the draft, hopefully in the most friendly manner. Just make sure to realize that I did do the best draft possible. I think I made the right decisions, but if you think I messed up anywhere, or you want to see any trades or see me change the team around a little bit, I have no complaints against that. So make sure to comment some of those ideas down below, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Stay tuned to this series and other series I got going to my channel. And that'll basically be it for this video. So I will see you guys next time, and peace out.